it's time for my April movie highlights and recap. Unlike March, which was a little more diverse in terms of when the movies came out, what I saw in April leaned more toward pre-1960, but as usual, the genres are all over the place, starting with The Pride of the Yankees, the 1942 biopic starring Gary Cooper as Lou Gehrig, the New York Yankees baseball player who was forced to retire from his successful career after he was diagnosed with ALS, which is now commonly referred to as Lou Gehrig's disease. I really liked this movie. The cast was wonderful, with Gary Cooper joined by Teresa Wright, Walter Brennan, who I'm not usually a fan of, but I liked here, Dan Duryea, and playing himself, Babe Ruth. For me, Gary Cooper in the 1940s is Gary Cooper at his best, his most winsome, and Teresa Wright is always adorable, so put the two of them together with a fun romantic script and you get a delightful result. I was surprised how lighthearted the movie was. Yes, it turns sad, and I struggled not to lose it toward the end, but it also has several funny moments, even a little slapstick, none of which feels out of place. The emphasis of this movie isn't on Gehrig's death, but on his life, which was filled with love, laughter, and optimism. If you haven't seen it, you probably should. Just keep a box of tissues handy. Next up is 1956's The Searchers, directed by John Ford and starring John Wayne, with Jeffrey Hunter, Vera Miles, and Natalie Wood. The story follows a Confederate veteran who spends years looking for his niece, kidnapped by the tribe of Comanches who massacred her family. I could call this a rewatch, except I didn't recognize much from when I saw it a couple years ago. I don't know what it is about this movie. The first time I saw it I had the flu. This time I was having eye pain, and I was supposed to look away from the screen every now and then to give my eyes a break, but this is not a movie that you want to turn away from. It's a feast for the eyes. So much to stare at. Gorgeous scenery, brilliant colorful images, striking contrasts, Jeffrey Hunter. The cinematography isn't the only thing to recommend it, though. It's got an engrossing plot, compelling characters, and a strong musical score. It's considered one of the best westerns ever made, a career best for both Ford and Wayne, and it's another one that surprised me with its humor, given that it's a pretty dark, complex story with violent scenarios and an ambiguous main character with a harsh, vindictive streak. But it definitely had its lighter moments. A lot of these stem from the subplot with Vera Miles and Jeffrey Hunter's characters' inability to communicate their feelings. The two of them make an attractive couple. Vera Miles looks great, and she's so feisty, and Jeffrey Hunter... woo-woo! Yeah, he's really attractive. That's Captain Pike from the original Star Trek pilot The Cage for all you Star Trek fans. Ultimately, the whole thing is scrumptious, and I'm definitely putting it down on my list of the most visually stunning color films I've ever seen. Next up is another visually stunning film, Last Year at Marienbad. This is a prominent French New Wave film from 1961 about a man and a woman who run into each other in a vast, elegant chateau, and he keeps trying to convince her that they've met before. This is a film that plays around with reality, and it makes you ask a lot of questions, like, is what I'm seeing on the screen really happening, or is it something someone's imagining? Is it in the past, or in the present, or just a possibility of what could happen, or is it all of those things? Has this happened before? It's very artsy and experimental, and that's not always my thing, but I did like the movie, I think. It's interesting to get your mind bent for an hour every now and then. I do think maybe I spent too much time analyzing it for some allegorical meaning. According to the booklet that came with the DVD, the best way to watch Last Year at Marienbad is just to take it in without scouring it for some hidden meaning. I wish I'd known that before seeing it, but oh well. Even if I wasn't always sure what was going on, and I missed certain subtle touches, I did enjoy the clever filming and editing, the fanciful images, and the chic costumes. It was an unusual experience for me, but not an unpleasant one, and I expect I'll revisit it sometime with a better idea of what to expect. Now I'm going to fly through some titles very quickly. We watched Brighton Rock, a 1947 British gangster movie starring Richard Attenborough as a ruthless young killer. This was a tense flick with some slightly startling violence for its time and a memorable, if somewhat dissatisfying, ending. Also saw a couple Sidney Greenstreet Peter Lorre films, 1944's The Mask of Dimitrios and 1946's Three Strangers. I don't think I'm much of a Sidney Greenstreet fan, but I do love Peter Lorre, and it's always nice to see him. Of course, we saw a few war films, two long ones with big casts, 1969's Battle of Britain and 1976's Midway, and we watched Paths of Glory, a 1957 World War I anti-war film directed by Stanley Kubrick and starring Kirk Douglas, Ralph Meeker, Adolphe Menjou, and George Macready. This was a maddening story with some infuriating characters, but as you can probably tell, it was quite effective in getting its point across. It was very well acted and well filmed, considered one of the best anti-war films ever made, and it's got my friend George Macready in it, who, even though he's playing one of his most despicable characters ever, still fascinates me with his voice. The second to last movie is Rogue One, which I didn't expect to see this soon after it came out, but sometimes the library surprises me. It was fine. It had some cool stuff. I liked pretty much what everybody else liked. The sarcastic droid, the Darth Vader scene. I think I found it a little more emotionally engaging than some other Star Wars movies, and I appreciated that it wasn't overly long or complicated. It was nice to see a Star Wars standalone movie, although it's not actually a standalone at all. It heavily assumes its audience's familiarity with the previous films. If you haven't seen Star Wars, can you even watch this movie? Anyway, I liked it better than some other Star Wars entries, and was impressed at how well the last half hour or so seemed to line up with the first movie. I will say this, though. Speaking as someone who likes Peter Cushing and is familiar with his face and voice and acting style, this movie's CGI version of him did put me off. If all that buzz about the character's inclusion sparked an interest in Cushing among those who weren't familiar with him before, then that's great. But it was impossible not to notice that Tarkin had a weirdly artificial, kind of mushy video game look about him, and I found that distracting. I'm also not entirely convinced that these movies are necessary, but that's an incendiary discussion that I have no intention of starting on this channel, so I'm not going down that road. The last film I saw in April was 1974's The Taking of Pelham 123, a thriller about four men who hijack a New York subway train and hold its passengers hostage for ransom, starring Walter Matthau, Robert Shaw, and Martin Balsam. I've seen this movie twice now, and I thoroughly enjoy it. It's a thriller, but it's surprisingly fun and light, considering the material. It's not flippant, there's never any doubt about the gravity of the situation, but something about the script and the style and the cast of stressed New Yorkers spouting very colorful language gives this a lot of quirky humor. Walter Matthau in particular is effortlessly funny with his deadpan grimaces and his dry delivery, and I love David Shire's music in the opening titles. It's a fun way to kick off a vigorous and enormously entertaining movie that stands out from your run-of-the-mill hostage film. Okay, that was a lot. As usual, the list of titles will be down in the description below. Let me know what you think of anything that I mentioned, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!